I'm going to start off this Sims video by ripping off the band-aid with a very controversial hot take. This so-called remake of The Last of Us is more of an overpriced, passionate deluxe remaster than a remake to me. To get into why, let's go over and discuss a couple of things. Since people don't understand the difference between a remake and a remaster is the exact same game with a new coat of paint with improved visuals, audio, quality of life improvements, and if the game is old enough, runs on a more updated engine like let's say Unreal Engine 5 for example, with updated character models, facial animations, better lighting, and using the same blueprints from the original game to make it look and run better, etc. A couple of correctly labeled remasters that fit this description are the Dead Resin Deluxe Remaster, the Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster, the awful GTA Trilogy Remasters, the Life is Strange Remaster Collection, Telltale's The Walking Dead Remasters, and the Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remaster. A remake is a completely different brand new game based off the original that changes, expands, and reimagines stuff. Or, in other words, a completely different game from the original based off the original that doesn't reuse any dialogue or animations from the original, doesn't reuse the same character movement from the original, redesigns and structures every environment, doesn't use the same blueprint structure from the original to make it look and run better, maybe make some tweaks to the elements of the game's story, expand upon the side lore or something, and maybe even reimagine stuff like characters' clothes or something. I could keep going, but I think you get the point by now, or at least I hope you do. A remake being a completely different game that changes things is what makes that remake a remake in the first place. The definition of the word remake means to make something in a different form, you know, to make something differently. And I don't even mean just in terms of video games. As an example, how many remakes of films are completely different from the original again? Look, I'm not saying every video game remake should be as unfaithful as possible to the original source material. You can still reimagine a story and still keep the same core elements. What I'm saying is, a game hasn't truly been rebuilt from the ground up if it's still the exact same or just an updated version of the original instead of making a completely new game based off the original. Now, to list correctly labeled games that are actual remakes by definition, there's the Mafia remake, the Final Fantasy VII remake, the Alone in the Dark remake, all of the Resident Evil remakes, the Silent Hill 2 remake, the Dead Space remake, and Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes. Now let's list incorrectly labeled games that are pretty much remasters disguised as remakes. There's Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Souls, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, Spyro, Until Dawn, and hey, wouldn't you know it, The Last of Us Part 1. The Last of Us Part 1 is not a remake. The scenes are exactly the same, the music is exactly the same, the story is exactly the same, the animations and movements are exactly the same. Basically everything apart from the way it looks is exactly the same. And if you're someone who's only played the PS4 version of the game, you're not really missing much by not playing this newer version. The Last of Us Part 1 is nothing more than the exact same game with a new coat of paint on Part 2's engine that also doubles as an asset flip. And I wouldn't have minded too much if they had just lowered the price to around $40 to $50. Charging $70 for what isn't even a completely brand new game is wild. The thing that hurts the most is that we could have gotten a sequel to Days Gone over this. If you're someone who wants a game to be remade, but the only thing you want different is just the way it looks, then you don't actually want a remake. What you want is a remaster, or a remaster with a realistic coat of paint. This is why the term one-to-one remake is fucking stupid. The term one-to-one means identical, and identical means the exact same. In that context, you didn't remake anything if it's still the exact same. All you did was make it look pretty and more realistic. I'm sorry that we're this far into the video and we're still on the very first sin, and I understand the terms remake and remaster is a giant comprehension issue for most people in the gaming industry, but a part of me damn near wants to crash out every time someone calls the Dead Resin Deluxe Remaster a remake or calling the Final Fantasy VII Remake a remaster, despite the names not only being on the fucking title, but actually fitting the definition. The Dead Resin Deluxe Remaster is the exact same game but looks better with a new coat of paint and quality of life improvements. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is a completely brand new game based off the original that changes, expands, and reimagines stuff. Let's compare the original Final Fantasy VII to the remake. How can you say that they're both the exact same game? If a game is the exact same as the original but looks better, even if it's on a completely different engine with a new coat of paint and quality of life improvements, it's a remaster. If a game is a completely different brand new game based off the original that changes, expands, and reimagines stuff while still keeping the same characters, setting, and similar story, then it's a remake. Now, about this game's dogshit PC port, where the fuck do I even start? I understand that everything I'm about to mention has most likely already been fixed and patched by now, but I really don't give a damn. Before I get into some of the things wrong with this PC port, it's important to note that this port was not done by Nixxes. Nixxes Software are a team of people owned by Sony who are behind the PC ports of every PlayStation Studios game apart from this one. Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, God of War and Ragnarok, Days Gone and Death Stranding, Spider-Man and Ratchet & Clank just to name a few. All the examples of PC ports I just listed are pretty good examples of great games with probably optimized PC ports by people who actually know what they're doing. Instead of giving it to Nixxes to work on it, they instead handed it over to Iron Galaxy. Iron Galaxy were the same team of people who fucked up the PC port of Batman Arkham Knight 10 years ago. That PC port was so bad, it was at one point deemed the worst PC port of all time. Sony really looked at that shit and said, we want that exact same team to work on the PC port of The Last of Us, and from there, history repeated itself. Iron Galaxy seems to be good at remastering games at least. Maybe they should just stick to that instead. I understand making a PC port of a game isn't as straightforward as porting it to a single console, but that's all the more reason as to why this should have been done by people who actually know what they're doing, like Nixxes. Even if they were busy working on a different PC port for PlayStation, if waiting a couple months to a year longer means that we'll get a well-optimized PC port that actually works properly day one, then so be it. First of all, why does the shader compilation load in the main menu? This is something that should load before you get to the main menu, not during it. The shader compilation used to take forever on launch, and I remember being extremely paranoid if the game crashing to the point where I would spam the escape key on my keyboard every time there was a frame drop, even during a cutscene. The game crashed a lot, so much so that I've seen this something went wrong with the game pop up more times than my actual time playing the game. That was just the surface of problems, and I could keep going, but I've been talking about this for a bit too long now, so I'm just gonna add 45 cents, and this is me not being an ass.
You still doing up? It's late.
She was already passed out on the couch until you came home and woke her up.
Did you get the money for this?
Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs.
Meh, relatable.
Honey, I need to get your daddy on the phone.
Uncle Tommy, what time is it?
I need to talk to your dad now. There's something...
Radio cuts off mid-sentence cliche. Not only did Joel leave his daughter alone during the beginning of an apocalypse with the back door open, but he also left his phone behind. That guy doesn't give a damn that the apocalypse is going down. They all survived this. How was Tommy able to kill an infected by just hitting it with a brick? Whenever I hit an infected once with a brick or a bottle, all that would do is stun them. The Wilhelm scream.
Oh no. Sarah?
How the hell did Sarah even get hit? Joel turned around before the soldier even fired. I will admit though, watching this still gets me emotional, even to this day.
Watch it.
This guy was completely silent until Joel and Tess came through. Bro's eyes on the right looks extremely wide. He has seen some shit. Why did you run to the left instead of going to the right?
Come on. Yeah, fuck those fireflies. Just go get them.
That is a stupid idea.
Why did you waste 2 bullets instead of bashing his head with the lead pipe you used earlier?
Where's Robert?
What do you mean, where's Robert? You didn't hear the 2 gunshots that were just fired?
What's it gonna be? I want to see those guns. Follow me.
Did anybody else stay behind just to see if something would happen, just to discover that nothing would happen at all? Kinda breaks the tension and immersion, you know?
Come on now. Get on up.
Fuck away from me!
Ellie has some pretty slow reaction time. Come to think of it, how did Marlene even get injured in the first place? I know I'm being extremely nitpicky right now, but L3 and R3 are not buttons on an Xbox controller. The icon should say LS and RS. A couple of military soldiers are easily taken out by 2 smugglers. Random spawning clicker.
Holy shit. She's infected.
Is it wrong that I don't at all feel heartbroken over Tess's death? To me, she comes off as the do-it-for-me character. The character that convinces Joel that Ellie is worth caring or at least risking their lives for. The character that solely exists just to move the plot along. Unlimited ammo.
Yeah, sure, Joel. Go ahead. Take my card. Take all my food, too, while you're at it.
By the looks of it, you could lose some of that food.
Listen to me, you little shit.
Actually, Ellie kinda has a point. You must have a lot of food if you live this far into the zombie apocalypse and still manage to be built like Dave Blunt's big back looking ass.
What'd I say to you when we walked down the steps? What'd I say?
I'm just fixing your stupid pile.
Don't touch.
Or maybe, you know, just don't keep your porn magazines out in the open like that.
Hold up. I got a key for that gate.
But you said that this area and beyond was new territory to you a few minutes ago. How can you have the key to a gate to a place you've never been to? Why would you have the key on you in the first place if you had no plans coming to this part of town until Joel and Ellie came along? It doesn't matter how stealthy you try to be during this gameplay section because you will still be spotted regardless. I love how that infected literally ran past Bill and Ellie without even trying to attack them. Why would Frank write this fuck you note to his boyfriend Bill if he never thought he would make it to this part of town? Where the hell did all the infected come from? There was not that many before the cutscene.
Here.
What's this?
You'd be amazed at how many cars still got gas in them.
And it's somehow not expired by now? You guys are 20 years into a zombie apocalypse, and gasoline at this point would become unstable due to contamination and degradation.
Only one problem. Right there. To be continued. I hate cliffhangers.
Tell me about it.
Watch out!
Stay down!
The amount of times this please wait bar would pop up was extremely annoying and made me feel more paranoid when I recorded and played this game on my PC. It's one of the things I forgot to bring up when talking about this game's dogshit PC port. Thanks, Iron Galaxy.
Alright. I think that's the last of them.
Meh, close enough. Roll credits. Joel did not get injured from this. I love when this game goes from a linear action adventure story driven game to a straight up horror game. It reminds me of Silent Hill 2 and Resident Evil. This guy has some horrible peripheral vision. If you try to do this section stealthily and wipe out all the enemies without being spotted, this game will just keep throwing enemies at you. The game will not allow you to progress until you get spotted, meaning the game literally halts gameplay until you decide to play this section the way the devs at Naughty Dog want you to play it. The reason I play The Last of Us like it's a stealth game is because Joel can't keep his fucking gun still while aiming. Don't get me wrong, the gunplay can be fun at times after some getting used to, but there are times where the recoil will be at an enemy's head and I would still miss because Joel can't keep his aim on target. It feels like the game does that intentionally, like it purposely makes the gunplay not perfect and just a little bit off so you're more likely to use stealth more often. It's just weird that there are times where the game wants you to not play like that.
Fuck! Body! Man out!
You guys didn't see Joel strangling your friend right in front of you? What just happened?
Look!
Leave him alone.
If I was in a zombie apocalypse full of infected and hunters who kill random people and take their stuff, and I saw some asshole trying to beat my older brother to death, I would have blown his head off by now, or at least fired a couple of shots.
Sam, what are you doing?
My backpack is practically empty.
What's the rule about taking stuff?
We only take what we have to.
Why does it matter if he takes one toy with him? This is an abandoned toy store, and like Sam just said, his backpack is practically empty. One of the reasons I love this game so much is the attention to detail to feel more consistent with its story. If you turn Joel away from Ellie but have the camera pan towards her, you can watch her pick up the toy that Sam dropped. This makes a later scene where Ellie gives a toy to Sam feel more consistent because you can actually spot her picking up the item. These hunters really must suck at shooting from a turn if they fire this many shots and still not manage to hit Joel and Ellie.
He left us to die out there.
No, you had a good chance of making it, and you did.
He had a good chance of surviving being outnumbered by a bunch of hunters who had a giant truck with a turret on it. Why are you trying to shush Sam? What the hell are clickers and stalkers gonna do from the other side of the gate? Besides, wouldn't making noise draw them off of Ellie and Henry? This sniper has infinite ammo. No wonder the sniper had so many bullets. How the hell did that giant military truck even get all the way out here? They didn't use the bridge to drive all the way out here because there was a giant gap in the middle of it, which was the whole reason why Joel and Ellie jumped off the bridge and washed up on the beach thanks to Sam and Henry, because they had pretty much reached a dead end. If there was another way out of the city in that direction, why were the hunters guarding the bridge so heavily then?
Sam!
Where the hell did the infected come from? Also, Sam will still somehow get bitten even if you chose to save him instead of Henry. Much like Sarah's death, this still gets me extremely emotional, and they even found a way to one-up it in the TV adaptation. The TV adaptation is pretty good, by the way. Did the arrows just disappear?
She's immune. I know, I've seen her breathe enough spores to take down a dozen men. I wouldn't have believed it neither. But I can show you.
Joel never ends up showing Tommy that Ellie is immune and can breathe spores.
Have Maria get some of your born-again friends to do it.
They got families too.
Tommy, I need this.
You just said it wasn't about you.
This isn't for me, Tommy. This is for your damn cause. This is how you gonna repay me, huh?
Repay you?
For all those goddamn years I took care of us.
Took care of us? Why are you talking down to Tommy like you helped raise him? He was already an adult by the time the apocalypse started. Look at this idiot just standing in a corner doing nothing while the place is getting raided by bandits. Ellie stole a horse and rode through here without any of the bandits spotting and attacking her.
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
And
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel. But I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
This entire scene is so beautiful and iconic. When I recorded and played the rest of this game in June of 2024, a couple weeks before I started recording Life is Strange, I started experiencing a couple of issues. The clips of The Last of Us I used in my Red Dead Redemption 2 Sins video were recorded when the PC port first came out. I eventually deleted those clips to save desktop space, but I started re-recording the game around April of 2024, where the game seemed to have run mostly fine. Fun fact, I also recorded God of War on my PC, then wrote 2 pages of Sins and abandoned the script to work on other projects. Hopefully I'll finish it someday. Anyways, after I stopped playing the game for a few months, I eventually came back to record the rest of this game from this point on in June of 2024. What I came back to when I tried to play this chapter and beyond were issues like a game crashing upon boot up, game crashing so many times for no reason and the dumbest reasons. At some points, the game crashed because I vaulted over something, moved around too much, or even during cutscenes, and it had screen glitching effects. The problem that annoyed me the most was that there were so many times where I would press Alt F9 and Nvidia Shadowplay would not record. I would try hitting the record buttons before I even opened the game, and Nvidia Shadowplay would stop recording when I get to the main menu. I know it's a problem with the game and not Nvidia Shadowplay because this is the only game where I had this problem. I recorded God of War, Resident Evil 4, and Life is Strange around the same time I recorded this, and I never had a problem recording those games on my PC. I am currently recording Death Stranding for a possible future Sins video, and I never had any issues recording that game on my PC. Okay, you get the point. Recording this game was extremely frustrating. Because this video is coming out in 2025, which makes it 2 years late to the party when talking about this game's PC release, if The Last of Us Part 2 gets a dogshit PC port just like this game, then you can expect a Sins video from me of Part 2 in 2027. And if The Last of Us Part 2's PC port doesn't turn out to be dog shit, this was a joke.
Shit! Shit!
You little shit!
Ellie just got knocked to the side of her head with a lead pipe and didn't receive any brain damage. Okay, so now if we've reached the Left Behind DLC, let's go over a couple of things. First off, the devs really cut out a part of the game's story just to sell it as DLC. Just imagine if the devs cut out the epilogue or Abby's 3 Days in Seattle out of Part 2's story just to sell it as DLC like they did with Left Behind. Now to be fair to Naughty Dog, they're not the only gaming company that has done this, and the Left Behind DLC does come with the PS5 and PC version of the game. But even so, why not just intertwine the DLC with the main story? Why do I have to manually enter the Left Behind DLC through the main menu? Adding it right here after Joel fell off his horse and it cuts to black, then letting us play through the winter section of the game and beyond after playing through the Left Behind part of the game would have been perfect. When Rockstar remastered L.A. Noire in 2017, they intertwined the DLC missions with the main story so you wouldn't have to manually enter them through the main menu. Those DLC missions are a part of the main story now. Naughty Dog couldn't do something like that with the main story in the Left Behind DLC?
Riley?
Ellie has some slow reaction time. Who leaves a roll of duct tape in a drawer full of spoons? Even in the Left Behind DLC, huh? I see this game continues the same trend Resident Evil started where people will write notes in a life or death situation for no reason. I was going to write a sin about how gas still hasn't expired this far into the apocalypse, but then I remember I already wrote a sin like that somewhere earlier in the script, so I'm just gonna sin and move on. Where the hell did those 2 stalkers come from? I already killed all the stalkers around the surrounding area.
I'm supposed to be holed up on the other side of town. Guilt didn't make me cross a city full of soldiers, Ellie.
Oh right, about that. How the hell did you sneak past a whole city full of soldiers just to sneak into Ellie's room? Who are you, Snake from Metal Gear Solid? Where the hell did all these infected come from? Can someone please explain to me why items in the Left Behind DLC have this whitish glow? Here's one thing I love about The Last of Us's gameplay. If you're like me and spend most of your time attempting to play this game like it's a stealth game, when you come across a room full of hunters and infected, it is entirely possible to get rid of all the hunters without getting spotted or killing any of them yourself. Just grab a brick or a bottle, throw it near the hunters, then just let the infected take care of them. Why did this clicker attack Ellie? Clickers are blind and Ellie didn't make any noise. Come to think of it, when did Ellie become this skilled at using an arrow to the point where she can headshot enemies on the first try?
Alright, Joel. Let's... Oh!
Down there, by the door!
I mean, you could have just waited for her to unlock the padlock on the gate, then shoot her. That way you and your boys won't have to go through the trouble of smashing the lock. There was an entire herd of infected chasing Ellie and Riley, and Ellie and Riley only killed like 3 or 4 of them. What the hell happened to the rest of the infected? This is every far-left liberal's reaction to the presidential election back in November of last year.
Option 1, you take the easy way out. It's quick and painless.
Painless? I mean, yeah, it's quick, but you'll still feel the bullet forcing its way into your skull after pulling the trigger before everything goes black. Iron Galaxy.
Hey, I'd really like my rifle back now.
No, you have your pistol.
Ellie, David is holding a revolver, not a pistol. Again, why did this clicker attack Ellie? She didn't make any noise.
won't survive long out there. I can protect you.
Are you seriously trying to convince her to join your group after admitting that the men that attacked her and Joel at the university and them all were your men? I should have said this when covering the Left Behind part of this game, but it's kinda sweet that the teenage girl you spent this entire game protecting and caring for is now trying to protect and care for you. Plus, you get to play as her while doing so.
You have heart, you're loyal, and you're special.
You're smoking crack. Stop.
They kept Ellie's switchblade in that exact same room next to an open window. Why not just play with the rest of her stuff?
Ellie! Stop! Stop!
Fucking touch me!
Okay, it's me! It's me! It's me! Look! It's me.
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
Joel.
It's okay.
Well, no matter how hard you try, I guess you can't escape your past.
This won't mean anything in the next 4 to 5 years. Ellie, you do realize you're standing on the thing you're trying to open.
Hands in the air!
She's not breathing.
Hands in the fucking air!
I get that you don't know who he is, but you literally see him trying to save a child's life.
Welcome to the Fireflies.
Where the hell have you been this entire game? I completely forgot you existed. Also, hey Marlene, now that Joel has safely delivered Ellie to the Fireflies, what the hell happened to the guns he was promised?
You came all this way. How'd you do it?
I played a game called The Crash Course from Iron Galaxy. You wouldn't believe the amount of game crashes, the police wait bars, and Nvidia Shadowplay not recording after pressing Alt F9 I had to go through to get here.
Cordyceps, the growth inside her, has somehow mutated. Once they remove it, they'll be able to reverse engineer a vaccine.
Okay, Marlene, I gotta stop you right there. The thought of being able to create a vaccine 2 decades into the zombie apocalypse is the most unrealistic bullshit I've ever heard. Not only is there no guarantee that the surgery will even go well, but the fucked up part is that they're not even gonna bother waking up Ellie to tell her that they're pretty much gonna cut her brain open to attempt to reverse engineer a vaccine that have no guarantee will actually work. Let's also talk about how dumb the possibility is of being able to create a vaccine on the first try. Let's say the surgery is successful and actually goes well. Don't vaccines have to go through an entire process before it reaches the final result? Whatever, let's skip that part, right? How the hell would they even be able to get the vaccine out to people this far into the apocalypse? Where the hell would they get the resources, the infrastructure, and the manufacturing to even mass produce a vaccine? These are not people who have lived through 3 years of a COVID pandemic. These are people who have lived through 20 years of an apocalypse full of runners, clickers, bloaters, stalkers, and God knows what other enemy type exists out there. Add on to the fact that they have to survive against hunters who go around killing people and taking their stuff like the people Ellie and Joel fought against before meeting Sam and Henry. Or what about the cannibals in the winter section of the game? What about possible bandits who try to raid and destroy communities like the bandits who had raided a power plant near Jackson? I'm pretty sure not everybody this far into the apocalypse is going to be so willing to take a shot at the vaccine anyway. You can hardly get people to take a shot now, and we're no longer in a pandemic as of me writing this in December 2024.
But whatever it is you think you're going through right now is nothing to what I have been through.
Clearly you haven't played the PC port of this game when it launched.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that bullshit.
Me when I see people who still believe this passionate deluxe remaster of The Last of Us is a remake. Why the hell would they leave Joel's stuff right there? They were just gonna make him leave without getting the stuff he needs to survive? Wouldn't the bin just roll away the second someone pushes against the door?
You can't save her.
Where the hell did Marlene come from?
Turns out there's a whole lot more like you, Ellie. People that are immune. There's dozens, actually. They've stopped looking for a cure.
Ellie actually buys this story. Shouldn't you wonder why Marlene was so fixated on Joel delivering her to the Fireflies if there were already dozens of people who were immune and had stopped looking for a cure? And Joel's lie will eventually fall flat because she'll wonder why she's never come across another immune person. Even in the last shot of the game, you can tell by just looking at Ellie that there's a part of her that knows Joel's lying, but she still wants to believe him. I'm not just talking about the PS5 and PC versions of the game. I'm also talking about the PS3 and PS4 version.
Now, I know that's not what you want to hear right now.
Swear to me. Swear to me that everything that you've said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
Okay.
Neil Druckmann and the rest of the team at Naughty Dog created an amazing game. The gameplay was fine, but the story and characters were incredible. The entire story of The Last of Us Part 1 is about love. By love, I don't mean the type of love you're thinking of in your head. I mean the game explores other aspects of love, such as the beautiful and dark parts of it. This game was so good that practically almost every single story-driven game took some sort of inspiration from it, whether it be from its story or even just its gameplay. Sometimes even both. It's like there's some unwritten rule that every story-driven game has to take some inspiration from The Last of Us in some shape or form. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. In fact, I usually love it when games do so, and there's a lot of games that do that. There's God of War Ragnarok, Death Stranding, Detroit Become Human, A Plague Tale Innocence, A Plague Tale Requiem. I can keep going, the list is very long. Iron Galaxy.
No matter how hard you try, I guess you can't escape your past.
Auntie, you made this?